You might have seen this video before, which claims that snow is the perfect texture for running. But there's no way that's actually true, right?
Just enjoying it. One thing, oops.
Right? Look, when the weather outside takes a turn for the worse, I'm the first person to look for reasons to skip a run. I don't think I have enough layers for this. What if I get a muscle cramp? I bet I'm gonna slip and fall. Don't you think the visibility's a little too low for a run? But turns out, my training plan actually doesn't care about the weather outside. So let's take a look at some of these claims and see whether I can actually get a run in today.
It's the perfect texture for running, very low impact on its dry snow so your feet don't get wet.
One of the claims is that snow is low impact. So here's a simple test. What happens when we drop the same object on snow versus on a hard surface? Physically, impact is what happens when two objects collide. So when you run, those two objects would be your foot and the ground. In our banana friend's case, the two objects would be its body and the snow or the ground. As a runner, you can think of impact as the amount of force that travels through your body when your foot hits the ground. Mathematically, impact force is related to how quickly an object's momentum changes during a collision. Momentum is just an object's mass times its velocity. If momentum is brought to zero over a longer period of time, the average impact force is smaller. Conversely, if it stops over a shorter time, the force is larger. Now on snow, when we drop our banana friend, we see a small dent form in the surface. That dent forms because snow is porous and compressible. Under load, the snow grains rearrange and compress. That compression acts like a cushion, allowing the banana to slow down more gradually. In contrast, on a hard surface like pavement or this wooden table, the surface hardly deforms at all. The banana's momentum stops over a much shorter time, which produces a larger force. So when you run on a hard surface, that impact force travels through your body, something you can feel from your ankles to your knees and up through your hips and back. So snow is lower impact than a hard surface like concrete or asphalt. But what about that second claim?
And it's dry snow so your feet don't get wet.
Well, when it's below 0 Celsius, or the freezing temperature of water, fresh snow is just tiny clumps of ice, so it should be entirely solid, which is why it feels dry. But your body's core temperature is pretty warm, around 36.8 degrees Celsius on average. And as to the temperature of your feet, well, it depends a lot on how well you've bundled your core, as well as your feet. But in a 2010 study on foot temperature in healthy individuals, the lowest recorded temperature of any of the 39 participants' feet was 15.9 degrees Celsius in an ambient environment of minus 4.5 degrees Celsius. And 15.9 degrees is still well above the freezing point of water. So even if the snow itself is dry, if any of it gets inside your shoe, in your socks, or on your pants, as soon as it feels your body heat, it'll start melting, and pretty fast. Alright, but there's a sneaky third claim in this video, which is never said out loud, and that's about the traction. Fresh snow might be lower impact than pavement, and maybe it stays dry if you're bundled up well enough, but can you actually run on it safely? Traction really comes down to friction, or how well your shoe grips the ground, and snow usually has less friction than pavement. Engineers actually measure the coefficient of friction between different materials, and rubber on snow tends to be much more slippery than rubber on dry pavement. Roughly speaking, pavement gives you high friction, snow gives you lower friction, and ice gives you basically none. If you've ever run in snow, you probably notice that you automatically adjust. You take shorter steps, you slow down a little, and you're paying way more attention to where your feet land. That's because your brain knows that slipping is a real possibility, because not all snow behaves the same way. Fresh snow that's just a little bit packed down can actually grip pretty well. Sometimes it kind of feels like running on a dirt trail. But once snow gets packed down or turns icy, it can become extremely slippery, which is probably exactly why Chelsea wiped out right after she said that snow was a perfect texture for running. So, to summarize, it's true that fresh snow is lower impact than the hard outdoor surfaces that you usually run on, which also means that your joints are experiencing less force with each step that you take. It's also kind of true that fresh snow is dry, but from personal experience, I find that my feet get wet pretty fast when the snow gets into my socks. As to whether snow provides good enough traction to run, well, depending on the packing of the snow, it can be pretty comparable to running on gravel or on dirt. But packed snow and ice is certainly worse and less predictable of a surface than pavement. And honestly, it's easy to laugh at that clip, but maybe we've all been laughing at the wrong thing. Chelsea's description of snow wasn't totally off, because the real problem, the thing that probably got her, was actually not the snow, but the ice. So is snow the perfect texture for running?
Just enjoying it. One thing, oops.
Guess it's up to you to decide.
I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful. never too late. Take this music and use it. Let it take you away and behold.
I'll be making more videos on running and physics in the near future, so subscribe if you're into that sort of thing. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching.